away. We
Yeah, we straight chillin', serial killing, pre-cold villains on the mic, got you reeling. 5-star rated from the floor to the ceiling. If you catch a 1-star, no time for feelings. Got a demon DJ on the ones and twos, by the name Beelzebub, so don't get confused. So grab a seat by the fire, roast a marlow or two, and prepare to hear the legend of the straight chillin' crew.
What up, nerds, and welcome to another Core 4 episode of Straight Chilling, the weekly horror movie review show where you chill and we kill, slice, dice, and chop up yet another horror movie. My name is Bob. I'll be your host for the evening. This is episode 414, recorded Monday, March 13th, 2023. Tonight we're talking about that latest slasher hotness, Scream 6, or Six Cream, if you will. Before we get into the review, let me introduce everyone else on the show. First up, calling in from Washington, D.C., we got your boy, Rand Deasy. What's up, man?
Don't touch that dial. You need to hear this.
how do, buddy? How we holding up after that sixth cream? That sixth cream. It's a lot of cream.
It's a lot of cream. I'm lactose intolerant too, so I'm going to the bathroom like every 12 minutes. It's a problem.
Rob, even if it's a lie, it's a HIPAA violation. So be careful.
It's a lie. Hey, this is my information I'm sharing, not yours.
You got me there. All right, you got me there.
Hey, Washington D.C. is no doubt going to be the location of Scream 7, right? Did you hear this?
God willing. Got some motherfuckers that need murking.
I want to see you as an extra, just, getting murdered in front of the White House or some shit.
If I'm an extra, I'm definitely going to be just like me scratching my ass on the side of the road or something. It's not going to be flattering. It's not possible.
Hell yeah. Last but not least, calling in from South Korea, we got your boy Soju. What's up, man?
Oh, what up? It's your boy. He'll make you feel brand new. You know he'll inspire you. Let's hear it for Soju Stains.
For Soju. Wow.
Wow.
When did they go to
The
Korea?
dulcet tones.
Dude,
I mean, where else are they going to go?
International,
It always skips it doesn't go anywhere else terrestrial. It's going to space next.
That's right.
Ghostface stumbling his ass through space.
He can't.
Gotta
He's
do
just
it.
like trying to wade through space with a knife.
Slipping and sliding around, just slamming into everything. Astronaut, fucking Ghostface. I'd watch it. Oh, man. Before we get into the main event, let's tackle some housekeeping real quick. Our April poll is currently posted on our Patreon website. If you support us at the $5 level or above, you get the chance to vote on a movie we're talking about this April. The theme for April is weed, because 420 and shit. The three movies to vote between are Troll 2, This Is the End, and Scary Movie.
Whoa, Bob, tell me how those numbers are looking.
And Scary Movie is still winning, which is blowing my mind.
Whoa.
Troll Deuce is in second place, and This Is the End is in last place.
Okay. Yeah, a little turn there, but it's still pretty close though, but a lot of people have voted, so it's hard to say.
Yeah. I wonder if all the votes for Scary Movie have something to do with this new Scream hotness dropping. Like, obviously there's a lot of Scream references in Scary Movie and shit.
Yeah, maybe. Could be.
Get your votes in before the end of March, and we'll see what movie we're blazing to in April. We got a brand new mini cast dropping this Friday. If you support us at the $10 level or above, you get access to a whole back catalog of Patreon exclusive episodes. We add to that every single month. This Friday, Rand Deasy, I think this is yours. You're talking about Or no, this is Juices. I don't fucking know. Baby Ruby. Who's talking about Baby Ruby?
I'm talking Baby
Should have played the
Ruby.
odds, Bob. Should have played the
I
odds.
should have. I should have.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was talking Baby Ruby. That was one I recorded during February for Women in Horror Month. This has got our boy Jon Snow in it, but it's about mostly about like new motherhood. So and it's good. It's like one of the best movies that's ever kind of covered that subject in a like really effective way, I thought. So yeah, I thought it was done really well.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Check out Baby Ruby and then slam our mini cast into your ear holes and see what Soju thought about it. In other Patreon news, we are opening the You Pick the Flick tier.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my
Here
Mark
god.
your
we go. Here we
calendars.
go. Here we go. Here we go.
Oh,
Opening
no,
Sun-
not again.
Opening on Sunday, March 19th at an undisclosed time of day. This is the only way you can outright pick a movie for us to review on the show. We open this up quarterly. There's only 5 spots per quarter, so they're difficult to get. They usually go pretty quickly.
Mhm.
You'll just have to refresh our Patreon page throughout the day and see when it's up there and grab one if you can.
And that's about $100 spot, right, Bob? That cost you a
Mm.
cool
$100 value, but the discounts
Yeah.
on this thing. My God.
75% off, baby. Yeah, and we'll send you a little personalized sticker. It's like a VHS tape, and it'll have the name of the movie that you chose and the date we recorded it and the rating and all that stuff. And also, if it's your first time picking, we'll send you an enamel pin as well. And you can send in a voicemail or email with your thoughts about the movie you chose for us to review. So you get a lot of perks with it. Now you're not just picking a movie for us to talk about. There's a lot of fun little shit we mail you.
Okay.
Quite literally shit. We just mail you a box of shit. So
Oh, yeah.
hopefully you're into that.
That's a service we provide.
That sounds
Uh,
great.
Sunday, March 19th. Get a box of shit. I think
Once
that's
I
all we
pooped
got
in
for
my pants in school, and I just left it in all day.
just
What a sad
Oh, that poor
story.
son of a bitch. That's all we got going on for Patreon. We do have a guest spot coming up. All 3 of us are going to be sitting in with Caitlin over at Plug It Up later this week. We're going to be talking about
Plug it up.
the Stepford Wives.
Whoa.
Yes.
The colors, Duke. The colors.
It's gonna be
The one
great.
from the early 2000s, 2005 or whatever it was. So check
2004,
that
I
out.
The Frank Oz flick.
Yeah, Frank fucking Oz directed that thing. Check that out. And I'm not 100% sure when Caitlin's dropping it. It might be this week, but definitely in the near future. That'll be coming at you.
Mhm.
Gentlemen, do you guys have anything you need to plug?
No, nothing else. Just a reminder, we got all that sweet Scream YouTube content. So head on over there. Check it out. Check it out. 'Tis the season.
Tis
Tis
the season.
Until
First
next
March.
year. Until next year when 7 Cream comes
And
out.
next year, and next year,
And forever.
100 years, 5 cream.
Yeah, we got a whole tiki drink devoted to Scream. If you can handle it, if you've got the Pusser's rum, Bob.
Oh,
If you're not a little bitch,
wow.
you
Whoa,
can drink
words are
a
being
tiki
slung around.
cocktail.
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
That's one of the best bumps
Oh,
we're
yeah.
ever gonna have
Oh,
for
yeah.
sure. The cream. All right. Well, I think our houses are clean.
This house is clean.
Let's get into the main event. We are talking about 6 Cream, and we're kicking it off with the back of the box.
What's on the back of the box?
Bob, have you
Oh, yeah.
pre-ordered this box?
What do you think?
We kind of did this whole Scream box thing last week, so I can't
Yeah.
really.
Yeah,
And
There's too many
Screambox is a
screams
whole other
going
thing.
on. Yeah.
there's a lot of screams. A lot of screams happening.
A lot of
Mhm.
screams, a lot of boxes. You just gotta have to figure it out.
You can pre-order this already. You can do it. There's
If
even a
you-
steelbook. Yes, of course.
Yes. After I shit on this
Uh,
movie all day.
Of
Yes.
course. Get on
living
it.
in a nightmare.
We need only
Get on it all
exclusive
day.
wrestling bumps from now on.
Well, look, you're talking to the right
Wrestling
guy.
promo. We're talking Scream 6. This was just dropped, 2023, of course. Rated R with a runtime of 2 hours and 2 minutes. This is coming at you from Radio Silence, the collective. Directors Matt Bettinelli Oakland and Tyler Gillette. Written by James Vanderbilt, Guy Busick. And, of course, based on characters created by Kevin Williamson. I think he was like assistant producer or something. I don't know. He was involved with this somehow. This stars your girl Courtney Cox, Melissa Barrera, Jenna Ortega, Jasmine Savoy Brown, a little bit of Skeet in this one, Dermot Mulrooney, and of course your boy Roger Jackson coming back to voice Ghostface per usual.
Old Flash Thompson even made the cut.
Your boy.
Oh yeah.
New movie, of course, first time watch for all of us here. Gentlemen, would you recommend people check out Six Cream? Randeezy, kick us off.
Would I recommend Six Cream? If you liked all 5 other creams, then certainly yes. I don't have too much stronger of a recommend than that. If you're looking for a general slasher, sure. If you're looking for a Scream sequel, sure. Yeah, sure. That's the cadence of my recommendation. And I need you to convey it perfectly for me. Thank you.
So, Jew, what about you?
Yeah, I generally would recommend people check this out. I think it's a fun theater watch for people to get some good thrills in early March. But the thing about this one, though, I guess it's kind of the case with Vi Cream, but this one, if you haven't seen any other Screams or you haven't seen them all, this one will spoil them all for you, literally every single one. So if you have
I
no
think that's kind of true of
intention-
most of them, though, isn't it?
but they literally like run it down of like each film. This was the first,
With
this was the
pictures?
second.
That's
yeah,
true.
with pictures and
Names.
names.
No, that's
and,
fair.
like,
That's
yeah.
fair.
So I don't think any other film does that. So be warned. If if you've seen like 1 and 4 and like you're thinking about watching 2 and you kind of don't want it ruined, then don't hop right into this. But I do think this is a fun theater watch for horror. So I would recommend generally people check it out. Bob, how about you? Would you recommend people check this one out?
Generally, yeah, I would recommend it. I think it's just a lot of fun to go watch these sort of like big event horror movies.
Yeah.
Six Cream is getting a hell of a lot of buzz and a lot of really solid reviews. There's definitely like a lot of excited folks in my theater, so it's just like, I don't know, it's a bit of a, I don't know, just like a fun vibe, a fun atmosphere.
Yeah.
So if you're into that kind of thing,
was.
yeah, totally.
I don't
This
like
is an interesting.
fun.
I hate fun.
I've got this movie called Banshees of Inisherin. You're gonna love it.
I do.
Dude, yeah,
I do too.
what a bummer. Yeah,
I decided that I'm lonely.
Well,
what the
yeah.
fuck? This movie is getting like a whole lot of love. So check it out if you haven't. I'm sure it's going to be sticking around in theaters for a while. So yeah, we're going to spoil the shit out of this movie, and here comes your warning.
Spoiler warning.
Bob, did you type up this plot synopsis?
I got it right here.
Good.
Plop it on us, big dog.
Give it to me.
Here goes the whole plot. We open up with film studies professor Laura Crane. She is lured outside of a bar into an alley in New York City and murdered by Ghostface, who is then immediately revealed to be her student, Jason Carvey. He and his
Whoa.
roommate, Greg, were plotting to kill the Carpenter sisters, but Jason finds a disembodied Greg in his refrigerator just before he himself is killed by another Ghostface. Sam and Tara Carpenter are now living in New York City with friends, Chad and Mindy Meeks Martin, Mindy's girlfriend, Annika, Tara's roommate, Quinn, and Chad's roommate, Ethan. Tara is attending college, and Sam is working several jobs and attending therapy. Since the conclusion of Five Cream, an online conspiracy has circulated claiming Sam is a serial killer and framed her boyfriend Richie. Because of this, she's regularly accosted in public. Then Quinn's father, Detective Wayne Bailey, calls Sam. She needs to stop by the station for questioning because he found her ID at the Jason/Greg murder scene. He also found the Ghostface mask used by Richie and Amber in Five Cream. Sam then receives a call by Ghostface on Richie's phone, who attacks her and her sister and ends up killing multiple bystanders in a bodega. At the police station, Kirby Reed from Four Cream. She returns to the franchise as an FBI agent who takes a special interest in the recent Ghostface murders. Gail Weathers also returns. We find she did end up writing a book about the Five Cream events, which angers Sam. She also mentions Sydney has gone into hiding and she's not in this movie. Ghostface then kills Sam's therapist and steals her file, leaving the mask behind, used by Jill and Charlie in Four Cream. Ghostface then attacks the squad at their apartment and kills Quinn, her boy toy, Annika, and Sam's boyfriend comes to the rescue, Danny. He helps the others escape out of a window with an extension ladder. Detective Bailey is taken off the case since his daughter was murdered, but he swears vengeance. Gail then takes the squad to an abandoned movie theater that is set up as a shrine to Ghostface killers with costumes, masks, murder weapons, various other memorabilia. Ghostface then attacks Gail at her apartment, killing her boyfriend and stabbing Gail. Sam and Tara show up in time to keep Ghostface from killing her. The group then plan to meet Kirby at the theater to track Ghostface and execute him. On the subway, Mindy gets separated from the crew and stabbed in the stomach. At the theater, Sam has visions of her father, Billy, and continues to struggle with the idea she might enjoy murdering folks. She takes her dad's old knife for protection before realizing they've all been locked in. Detective Bailey calls and says Kirby was fired from the FBI months ago, and she is the Ghostface killer. Then Ghostface shows up and stabs Tara. Then a second Ghostface shows up, and the two stab the shit out of Chad. Kirby and Bailey roll up, and Bailey ends up shooting Kirby, revealing himself as a third Ghostface. He coordinated the whole thing with his kids, Ethan and Quinn. Turns out Quinn did not die. Sam and Tara fight off the Bailey family. Tara stabs Ethan in the mouth, and Sam shoots Quinn. Sam wears her father's costume before taunting Detective Bailey and stabbing him to death.
In my moment of glory.
Ethan pops up from one final scare where Kirby slams a TV into his head, killing him. Sam agrees to let Tara live her life, and Tara agrees to go to therapy. Kirby, Mindy, and Chad are all taken to the hospital as Sam drops her dad's bloody Ghostface mask in the street and walks off into the distance with her sister Tara. Roll them credits. There's also a really tiny little post-credit sequence in this.
Oh, is there?
It's
What is
it's
it?
goofy.
Somebody posted it on Slack. It's nothing.
It's just
It's Mindy.
Mindy showing up, and she's saying like not every movie needs a post-credit sequence, and that's it.
Well, she's speaking the truth there anyway.
Yes.
Whoa, did I
She
just
is.
rewatch Six Cream?
Yeah, I think we hit every beat.
You
Um,
did. I was thorough.
you were.
So this movie's getting a lot of.
Bob, hang on.
positive reviews.
I got something important I gotta say. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
God.
I doubt that
my
very
gosh.
much.
Rob
Oh my
was
God.
rearing to go.
No, it's getting a lot of positive reviews, and there's a lot of I think there's a lot of stuff to like in this movie. I think there's also a lot of stuff to not like. I will say the opening scene, which Scream is pretty famous for having these baller ass opening sequences. I love this one. I thought this movie started
Really?
off with a bang. Yeah, I was
You
for
loved
it. How
it?
did it hit
Disagree.
y'all? Yeah. Okay. all right.
Disagree. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was god awful or anything. I appreciate what they were attempting to do. The unmasking of Ghostface right away is obviously a thing that they meant to have a good impact, and it hit me all right. I don't know. I felt like I liked the way they closed it with our one true Ghostface of the scene saying "Who gives a fuck about movies?" That was a
Yeah.
turn that I was interested in.
Yeah.
Same.
But I felt like that promise was a little underbaked by the end of things. But for what it was, that was fine. I just kind of felt like it was a little, I don't know. It didn't thrill me the way that it did when we had all those multiple misleads in 4. We just watched last week, and that was so peak to me. by comparison, maybe this one kind of was
Mhm.
dull.
So
Yeah.
there were a couple interesting things that they set up, and this kind of actually, so this intro kind of represents the movie for me in a lot of ways, because I like the setup and the idea of, you know, a lot of these times, well, I guess it's kind of what happened in Scream 2, a little bit, where it's the kind of
You could
idea of
say.
like the public space, the public safety, like being somewhere, you know, like she's at a bar, she's not isolated in her home or anything like that. And so that kind of set up for like the setting, and you know, you're not going to be safe anywhere. I like that idea. um but as soon as that dude took off his mask, like literally when he was like reaching to pull it off, I was like, this guy's gonna get got. Like I was able to know where it was heading. And
Mhm.
so a lot of this movie kind of goes that way, where it's like there's some really cool ideas and they're playing with the setting really well. And you know, and then even, you know, like who gives a fuck about movies? Like there's this like, you think there's going to be this core thesis that's going to be really intriguing, but ultimately like the whole kind of movie, it really just comes down to some initial like setting scares, or like using the setting really well for me, but like the thesis doesn't ever like fully blossom. Like they don't actually really have anything to say, and I was able to just like guess where everything was headed a lot of the time. Like I didn't feel particularly surprised throughout this movie, so this
You're
intro like
singing my
really,
song
yeah,
right now.
yeah, it really kind of set it
I-
up for me, like for the whole movie, really.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I think this movie hints at a lot of really cool, interesting new things they could do, and it doesn't do any of them.
No.
I think that the intro actually does try some new stuff, and that's the stuff that works the best, with the killer immediately showing his face. I was like, well, what if they just totally remove the whodunit from this? That would be completely fucking new and interesting. And of course, it turns out to be like another Ghostface who's killing Ghostface. And so you're like, okay, well, maybe there's like a good guy Ghostface who's maybe trying to protect these girls, but it's fucking crazy. But they don't do that either, and it doesn't play out to mean much of anything. And of course, the "who gives a fuck about movies" line, I was like, fuck yes. What are they gonna do?
I kind of love that. Yeah.
It feels like something fresh and new, and the intro to me is, but the rest of the movie just is paint by numbers. It's
Dude, that's
Scream
the
2
problem. That is
rehashed. Yeah.
exactly, dude. This movie is Scream 2, and I know that they're like doing this like they did it with Scream 5, where it was like paint by numbers Scream 1, but we're subverting a few things. And they're kind of doing that here, but with the new setting, it doesn't really like resonate on the same level, but it's the same fucking story. And when he said who gives a fuck about movies, my mind started splintering. I was like, yes, where could this go? Like Bob said, I was like, maybe there's factions, maybe like we talked about, maybe there's we speculated earlier during the trailers that maybe this is like a cult formation or whatever, and that's maybe where this is going. All that sort of thing. I was still like harboring some hope that there's going to be some like commentary on the modern state of where people get scared, which would entail talking about true crime. I mentioned that last week. I had put a lot more eggs into that basket than I initially thought, because I was pretty disappointed that it did nothing of the sort. And the movie basically is exactly Scream 2. The victim's crazy parent and kids, in this case, come back to exact revenge on the previous boyfriend killer. It's the same story. And it does nothing for me. Like, I understand repetition is part of it, but this movie, this franchise, when it's at its best, is able to refresh within that construct, and this didn't do that ultimately.
Yeah.
Well, oh, go ahead.
I was just to talk about the comparison to Scream 2 a little bit more. Like, Scream 2 also opens up like in a public setting, not in somebody's house with a big grand murder. And then you go on to, find the ending. Of course, the parent is the one that returns to be exacting revenge. It also ends in a theater like Scream 2 does. There's that like sequence in the van where Randy, a core character, actually does get murdered. They do the van thing again in this one.
Directly.
They reference it. Another thing that I'm sure we'll talk at length about is like the meta commentary happening about like, this is a franchise now. It's been a franchise for decades, which is silly. but that means anybody's up for grabs. Anybody can die. And like in Scream 2, they do take out a pretty major player, Randy. In Scream 5, they kill off, spoilers for Scream 5, I guess. They kill off Dewey and Judy, so some like major characters that have returned. And I was like, okay, like we're gonna see some shit go down, and some main characters get severely injured. Gale, you think is gone? Chad,
They don't
think
even
is
make
gone.
that promise
Mindy,
work.
and like everybody fucking lives. And at the very end of the movie, when they're loading people up in the ambulance, Mindy, who got stabbed twice, I think, in the stomach, is now released from the hospital, like on medication, fine, running through the streets. And she's like, "Oh my God, we all survived. It's a subversion within a subversion," or whatever. It's a twist within a twist.
No.
And I was like, that is
Mm.
No,
not
that's a
impactful.
cop out
There's-
inside
there's
of a
no
movie.
stakes.
That's what
there's
that
no
Well,
stakes
yeah.
at all.
So I'm gonna say that watching this movie, and like I don't want to like shit on it the whole time, but I'm
Mhm.
not gonna shit on it the whole time, but I will say though, not because of like the quality of this movie, but because of the decisions that they make, this actually kind of like makes me like 5 less in a way,
Oh.
because I really liked 5 and I rewatched it recently and liked it. But with this one as like setting the idea, the construct of setting up like a new trilogy within it or something like that, there was potential for 5 to kind of like wipe the slate clean and do a lot of creative things. And I recognize that when you're doing this kind of like reboot sequel, you almost need to do that. And what it really made me kind of think of was like Star Wars, where it's like, yeah, you got to kind of like ground it back in there. It's very similar. And, but you kind of got to like do it service while also saying, okay, these are the new characters we're going to move forward. The problem is, yeah, in 6, they're kind of showing that they have nothing to move forward to. That it's
Yeah.
then it just becomes more of like seemingly like money grab, because then it's like you're not saying anything new. You're not revitalizing this franchise. You're kind of just like milking it. And so in that way, it makes 5 seem less impactful, because I'm like, you're literally just doing the same thing so that you can establish these characters that will never die, apparently, so that you can just keep milking it and milking it and milking it with nothing new to really offer it. And that sucks.
It does suck. It doesn't impact my feeling towards 5, but I agree with pretty much everything else you said. It just,
I'm thinking this movie
but-
definitely has like middle movie syndrome, because like clearly they killed off some characters in part 5, and they knew that this, part 5 made so much money, they knew this was going to make a lot of money, so like they just want to get them to the next one, is kind of what it feels like to me. It's like, I don't like the Gale scene where she gets stabbed and they fend off Ghostface, and she has that like pretty impactful line, like, "Tell Sidney, he never got me." I was like, oh shit, this is like a pretty intense, like meaningful send-off for Gale. It wouldn't be a bad way for her to go out. And then she just survives again.
Yeah, she has a weak pulse. I was like, why?
Yeah.
Really?
I don't understand. Like,
And why did she? So, this doesn't make any fucking sense, man. Gale is pretty smart, and she like runs into that room. She locks the door. She has a phone. She has a gun. She's safe. Just call the cops. But then she opens the door and walks out and gets stabbed, and still doesn't die. And her boyfriend dies, and she doesn't give a flying fuck about him, dude. Like, she does not care at all.
2 things occur to me about Gale in this movie. Gale is kind of given the raw deal, I think, in this movie, the same way Dewey was. Like, not again, like we talked about last week, I was not concerned with Dewey acting silly or doing the things he always does, or even getting killed. None of those things. In fact, that was good, and I think for them to lose somebody like that. But in this one, like, it's the characterization that this character not only is in every movie, but they cannot move forward. They're like Always Sunny characters. They keep moving passing through time, but every lesson they learn just disappears before the next one. So again, we start this movie with everybody hating Gale for doing a tell-all book again. And I'm like, this person never learns a lesson. None of these people can like rise above and see the fucking pattern in front of them. They
Well,
do nothing
yeah.
but talk about the patterns of their lives and self-reference, but they can't figure that shit out.
Well, that's the thing that makes some of it like feel cheap. Like even going back to 4 or to 5 about, you know, who Gail's supposed to be now, you know, or
Mhm.
like these lessons that she learns in 4 and 5. And then yeah, she just writes a book again. It just feels, I was willing to give it like the pass or 5, and I actually thought it was clever, but this is too much to like make the same
Yeah.
exact
After the death
movie
of
again.
Dewey,
That's
where
too
like
much.
she loved Dewey. Like
Yeah.
that we can agree on. That was her arc. Every time was like every time she would falter, Dewey would be like the person who would convince her to change her ways again in some
Yeah.
way, or at least be a part of that conversation with her. And he
Her
has
moral
died at the hands of
grounding.
the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, her more exactly. He's her moral compass. He is dead. I understand that could send somebody astray, but like it's not just astray. She's like completely like lost. Like she's doing the same shit she did when she was fucking 20 years ago. I don't
the
see-
same
yeah,
shit.
literally. And
She-
just because
yeah.
it resonates with what people want to see on screen, I don't want to see that for Gail. I want better for Gail than that.
Well, they wrote in some like actual character development for her in part 5, which was nice to see. And then they're just like, fuck it, we'll just do the exact same shit. I think a lot of issues with this movie are just really, really based in the writing. And I wish, it feels rushed as shit to me. I wish they would have taken an extra 6 months and like do 3 or 4 more passes on the script or whatever, and then just have this Halloween movie come out for fucking Halloween, which would make a lot more sense. Like,
it does make a
just
lot more sense.
take your time with it, clean it up, because they even hint at, I mean, we've touched on some of this already, they hinted at a couple other ideas in here. So they bring back Kirby, which is like, you know, a fan favorite character, and she survived 4, and she's an interesting ass character in 4. She's very likable, and she's an FBI agent in this movie, which I feel like doesn't make a whole lot of sense for her character. And my best guess is the only reason they made that choice for her character is to have another solid red herring. Because like they have all these murder weapons laying around in this big theater, and like obviously like a cop has to be involved, right? We've got 2 police officers, Dermot Mulroney, and then there's an FBI agent, Kirby. So like they even like hint at her being like twisted and fired from the FBI because she's gone crazy or whatever. It's just like another red herring, and like it doesn't serve the character. It's just to like kind of fool the audience a little bit. It feels cheap to me.
I'm not particularly bothered by her becoming an FBI agent. I am bothered by like it being very like a very, very, very painfully obvious red herring that, you know, it's like this is clearly a fan favorite return. Literally, I was sitting in the theater, and I'm not kidding, like every side of me, there was just this big group of gay dudes that were in a group together that came in as couples, and like it was, which is great or whatever, but like when Hayden Panettiere turned around, cheering all around me for Hayden Panettiere, that people fucking love this character. No way they're gonna turn her into the killer. I just don't see it. And like I hate that it's so painfully obvious, but also I don't like that she like as a character, like she's gone through this thing, she's now a cop or whatever. They're clearly, to me, and having her have that rapport with Gail, setting her up as the Gail of the group, of the survivor group, is how I'm seeing it. They have three what I consider the core 3, the true core 3 at this point in my mind are her, and then Jenna Ortega and Sam.
Yeah,
I think those are like our perennial survivors. I don't think they're going to be able to keep Mindy and Chad another movie. I don't think so. Maybe
not both
one
of them.
of
I wouldn't
them.
think.
Well,
but
that's the problem a lot with this movie too, is like while I enjoy like some beats of it, and like I understand like the fan service, we're on part 6 now, and a lot of it came down to what felt like pandering to me, and it felt very cheesy, and it felt like a huge disservice to the film, because it, you know, even like you were saying, like they were like, oh, we didn't die, and this has already come up, you know, in the discussion of the Slack, where like, yeah, you know, there's always Dewey, how many times did fucking Dewey get stabbed throughout the Scream series before he finally had to die in Scream 5, a reboot sequel and stuff like that. And it's like, yeah, dude, 6 people were given the plot armor in this film. 6. You have the core 4, which even like, oh my, even that felt like huge pandering. It's like, let's give us a name so
Really
it can be
forced, yeah.
referenced and like, and then
Yeah.
fucking Kirby and Gale. 6 people cannot die in the
And-
Scream franchise.
And
All you have
the-
are two
the-
underfleshed out characters who are obviously there for a reason.
Yeah,
you have
and
the
the
Quinn
killers.
fake out too. Yeah. The people that die in this movie are people that you don't know shit about. Like,
Mhm.
some of them you don't even know their names. Like
Yeah.
Quinn's
Right.
boyfriend, you don't even see him. You never
Yeah.
see him.
He's- You see him as a corpse only.
Yeah, I mean, I know you got to have red shirts because it's a slasher movie and you just got to have it. And I have no problem with that. But you got to have actual stakes in a slasher movie. Like your main characters have to die eventually in a slasher movie, or else it's just all popcorn. And then like what like rewatching this movie in those sequences, even if the sequence is like really well directed, like that subway scene is fucking
Mhm.
cool.
Oh,
I like it
dude,
a
I
lot.
love that subway scene.
But if you rewatch it, you know she's fine. Mindy is not going to die. There's no tension
Well.
in that scene anymore at all.
I mean, I
It's-
still think it's there because I mean, that's true of any movie you've seen multiple times if you know if somebody's going to live or not. I personally like, I really love the bodega scene too. And I think the tension is
Yeah.
there. I think it's real because the idea of slasher films or horror films in general is being able to put yourself in that place. You know, you're on a subway car and surrounded by people in masks. You're in a bodega where, you know, somebody's got like a shotgun. How are you gonna get out and survive? So I think I disagree with you there. I think the tension still exists, but
Yeah.
the problem is like, it's just, you can't. Yeah, it's like there are no stakes, especially when that you've already announced a Scream 7. It's like, why the fuck should I like care now? When you like, I care about the Scream franchise because I feel like they always have something kind of potent to say about either filmmaking or society
their
in
best.
general.
yeah,
And
the best
I'm
ones.
always wondering, like, and the whodunit aspect, like what's going on when you water down or almost eliminate those aspects. And you're just, you know, you're still making some cool scenes like from a slasher standpoint, but you're not like carrying on the franchise. And you might as well just be anything, a fucking Halloween, or you're not doing it for the sake of like Scream can carry on. It feels like pandering. It feels like milking the franchise. It feels like money grubbing in some ways. And that just like kind of cheapens the experience
You know,
for me.
The thing is, like, they learned the wrong lessons, I think, from 4 and 5. The thing that happens especially in 4 and 5 is a lot of self-referential stuff, which makes sense for those because they're reopening the Pandora's box in both of those. Neither one of those were like necessarily designed as, you know, sequels. They're like revival sequels in their own right. You know what I mean? So
Mhm.
they're revisiting old set pieces and they're talking about the original cast and they're talking about like, and they have even within that in 5 they have something to say about reboots, and season and 4 they have something to say about reboots. And this one they replace that entirely with like none. The franchise stuff is filler. It doesn't mean anything. It's not actually accurate in any way that matters, and it doesn't have a strong theme. It's one scene of exposition that ultimately does nothing and doesn't actually enlighten us on any of the reasons anything
Mhm.
happens in this movie.
Yeah.
And instead they replace it with like hyper self-referential stuff exclusively, and that's when it feels like pandering, right? Because
Yeah.
it's nothing but reminding you of how good you used to have it, basically.
There's that scene where she runs down the rules feels pretty damn forced. So like the meta aspect is definitely lacking in this movie. In some of the other Scream movies, they do a really good job at capturing some sort of social commentary as well, which this one tries its best to do, but feels pretty lacking in that as well. It definitely
don't
touches a
see
little
it.
bit. It's kind of twofold. They kind of touch on two different things. One of them being like, you know, the assassination of one's character online. Yeah, because you know they're spreading all these
that's true.
conspiracy theories, and she's being accosted in the street, and they full on buy into it,
Anybody
even
can
though-
make something up, but
And then
what does that
the
have to do with
second-
fucking franchises or anything?
Nothing. The second aspect that I think they're trying to capture, which Randy you mentioned, is like the obsession with true crime and how like Richie was collecting all this memorabilia from actual murders and not from like the stab movies. Like even though he was obsessed with the stab movies, he was making his own apparently. But like he's also obsessed with true crime now, and he's collecting, you know, Billy and Stu's knives and shit.
Well,
like
that kind of just rips off two in the same way too, because one of the core thesis, you know, it was the mom, but before that, it was what's that dude's name?
Cotton?
Mickey.
Timothy Oliphant.
Oh, well, yeah, Mickey.
Yeah, Mickey, where he's like, I'm gonna blame, you know, his blame
Yeah.
violence on the movies or whatever. It's
Yeah.
kind of that same thing where it's like, oh, you've become obsessed with these killers and you're
It's very
collecting, so
thin.
now you're a killer. But even if you wanted to set that up as a thing, I feel like they didn't even like kind of hammer that home. And even if they
No.
did, it would have been a ripoff to me. Like,
And
No,
yeah,
yeah,
I
I
don't see that as being commentary on the true crime thing either, Bob.
Yeah.
Like to your point, like I just see that as the same story of like violent media affects kids. Yeah, right. Here comes Wes Craven originally to tell you why that's not true. And now here comes whoever
Well-
directed this movie, I can't remember. And they're
I
doing
mean,
the same thing Wes Craven did.
He's collecting literal murder weapons. And also
Yeah.
there's that like random offhanded thing that Gail says, like it's all about limited, you know, true crime series or whatever.
Yeah, she does, but it doesn't go. The thing is, like, none of that stuff holds together. It's all very scattershot.
I know.
If
I know.
and if I don't think it's so scattershot. Those two instances to me don't like even. If that's what it's intending to do, it failed so spectacularly that me, the person most wanting that to be the case, the point of the movie, the one who already like really is
Yeah,
salivating
and-
for that to be a point,
yeah.
didn't see it at all.
Mhm.
The line, like, who gives a fuck about movies too? Like they're more interested in the real life
That's
shit.
such an
It's-
interesting line.
It is, I know. There's, I don't know. We can talk about some things that are good. Like Juice, you mentioned
Yeah,
that
let's do that.
bodega scene.
So,
Some
well,
people
yeah.
have issue with the shotgun. I
Mm.
thought that
I kinda do, but
very effective though. I like
in context, I liked it better. Like in the trailer, I was like, I don't like that. This is like that their version of subverting is by you know doing a non-creative kill, but the
Mhm.
tension is enough to where it's fine.
Mm.
So like ultimately,
Yeah.
it worked out for me.
So another thing I wanted to kind of mention that sparked for me, because it was a positive and it got me thinking, it's something I kind of mentioned in 5, where I still, even though I said this one like kind of cheapens 5 for me, it still holds true to me, where I think this is still, even with this movie, is still the best, most accomplished reboot sequel. And one of the things that like really stood out for me, I think this was a conscious choice. The mask design in this is really cool, and it's really gritty, and it really looks like the idea behind Halloween 2018. And in that way, again, I still think like I think there's like some references to like we're gonna be the first ones to kind of do like it, even if it's not solid, we're going to be the best ones to give you a good reboot sequel trilogy or whatever. And I think a lot of that is in reference to how poorly Halloween was ultimately handled. And in that way, like I still would give it props, because like, yeah, this isn't anything new or amazing for the Scream franchise, but in comparison to what else is coming out within the same set of rules or set of like, you know, we're rebooting it and we're bringing back these old characters, I still think this is better. And I like the gritty mask design. I like the grittiness of like the location, the bodega, in utilizing those. Like, I love the still shots and the ideas. Like somebody else mentioned, even though Chad doesn't die, the idea that we have these two Ghostface killers with the double knives and standing next to each other, and like the wiping of, you know, they have some really cool, just like that's a cool Ghostface moment throughout
cool
this.
shots.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some really cool shots and situations that like kind of like make you go like, oh shit, remember of that Ghostface time. Like, so yeah, I did like the bodega scene. I really like the subway scene. I like the, you know, the kind of ladder scene, or the closed apart, like you know, people are always running around the house. They're running upstairs, you know, they're climbing out on the roof or whatever. It's cool to have like this tiny little apartment. There's fucking nowhere to go. You're crawling out the window. You're trying to get out, you know, kind of fire escape. Not really, but like those kind of ideas. I thought they
That was the best.
utilized, yeah, I thought they utilized the setting really well.
I think that's
Didn't
fair.
love
I,
that scene.
really.
No,
I
it
like that
didn't-
better than any of the others. I didn't even care that much for the subway scene personally.
It just doesn't make much sense to me. Like, after you find out that, so Quinn's laying on the bed, and then Danny looks across the way and sees Ghostface looming over her. But like at that point, when you're watching the movie, you don't know that Quinn's also just the other Ghostface. So like,
Mhm.
why is Ghostface looming over her? It's really just for the audience's benefit, and also so Danny can see and intervene. But like, wouldn't they just close the blinds? Why would they let him see? And then also,
I don't think they were intending him
have
to
a
see.
fake. But then they fake like
No,
a
they-
murder scene so he can take a picture, and then he sends that to everybody else to alert them, which doesn't make a lot of sense. And then after that, like, her dad is able to take a corpse of someone that looks like his daughter up to the apartment and plant it so
Well,
that she can
no.
go
Is that what happened? I
free.
was very unclear about how.
No.
Yeah,
pulled
he
that
says
off.
he found a
Or does he
corpse.
just? I feel like he just told them. Did he say it? Did they show him or talk? Did he mention like I found a corpse and put it
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
He did. Okay,
He
well,
said it
that's
was
dumb.
a fresh body, but no,
yeah.
well, no, to kind of go against that a little bit, I don't think it was necessarily just for the audience's benefit. I mean, if you play out what is happening, so she's there, they want everyone, not, and we're not even
Mhm.
talking about the boyfriend. They want to set up a scene where the daughter is killed. That was like that was planned. So they
Mhm.
want the daughter to be killed, one, so she's not suspected, so she has easier access to things and stuff like that. So they want her to be killed. Then they also want the guy, it gives him more freedom because he's like taken off the case or whatever, and it also drives attention away from him. What man would kill his own daughter or whatever? And so the brother is in there. They have to set this whole scene up. They kill her boyfriend. So he has killed her boyfriend in the thing. She's not going to be in there helping him. She doesn't want anyone to think that she's a part of it, even if her roommates accidentally come in or something like that. So killed in the bathroom. He needs to like pretend kill her and then kill it. So that doesn't really, I don't think that's
I'm
for
with
the
you.
audience's benefit. I don't think so.
I don't think that they want
ridiculously elaborate and it
well,
just
all
doesn't
of this.
make
Well,
sense to me.
that's, I
I
mean,
think
that's
kind of true of most of these things.
Yeah.
But
They're not
most of these
staging
movies-
murders for people to see and then
Yes, they are.
finding
They do.
corpses.
Literally,
They do that
that's
shit
what
all
they
the
do.
time.
Stu got
With-
stabbed as part of staging murders.
I don't know. The corpse being involved is just, I don't know. It doesn't.
The corpse
make-
is too much. I'll give you the corpse because I think that the dad, like, I thought that he just came out and was like, "Oh, I can't believe my daughter's dead," and they just took him at his word because he's a cop that just came out of the crime scene and is freaking out.
Yeah,
But I
also,
I don't
like,
think
him
that the
being
boyfriend was
assigned-
supposed to see that stuff. I don't think that
Well,
was supposed to
that-
happen.
Sure, that makes sense, but he doesn't. He's the only reason anybody survives. It also doesn't make sense that the dad would be assigned to the case. There's a direct conflict of interest there. Also, like, why would the FBI like Kirby, assuming that she didn't get fired? Why would they let her investigate anything? There's a direct conflict of interest there too. It just doesn't make a lot of
Well,
sense.
she's
Yeah,
not directly
she's
involved
not
with this, with
supposed to
any of
be,
these
yeah.
specific people except for maybe Gail, and she's yeah, and also like FBI.
I mean, they're
in
leaving
full
old
rank.
masks that the killers wore when they stabbed her. Like, I mean, you know, she's
But she's not
involved.
It's true.
officially a
It's-
part of the FBI, though. What?
Yes,
I mean-
that was a lie.
Yeah,
That was a lie that Dermot Mulroney told.
Oh, it
No,
was.
she-
Oh,
No,
okay.
she
I-
says herself. She has a badge. She says
No,
she's
no,
from
no,
the
No,
FBI.
yeah. I'm
no,
saying
no,
that
no,
Dermot
no, no.
Mulroney lied about her being taken off the
Oh,
force.
I thought that was true. I thought that was true.
I don't think that's
He's
true,
trying to
no.
cast that because that's right at the end when he's
Okay,
trying to trying to turn them
okay.
against each
That
other.
makes
But
sense. That
Yeah.
makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it's all a little confusing. And the thing is, like any of the Scream movies, if you try and break down who is where, it starts to get really kind of thorny. So like,
Yeah.
I'm not too bothered
Like we
by that.
talked
As
about
far as
last time about like who was killing Dewey. It's like, yeah, I mean,
right,
we
yeah,
gotta
a little girl.
I mean,
was
but I
killing
feel
Dewey,
like,
I
yeah,
guess.
that's
It
pretty
doesn't make sense.
consistent with a lot of the Scream setups, which, you know,
Yeah.
that's not that's definitely not the worst part for me. I can see the critique, but I also
Yeah.
feel like that's kind of part of the Scream and easy to wash over me. But not to say that this isn't without critique. There's plenty of critique to give.
When you start like planting bodies on crime scenes where there are multiple cops around though that aren't
Yeah.
involved, then I start to be a little concerned. But like as far as I don't know, a lot of kayfabe goes into some of that stuff, and
Yeah.
that's fine. But like as far as that actual scene of them like crawling across the escape ladder or whatever, I thought that was great. I was pretty like that was one of the more tensiony moments for me. And honestly, like the subway scene was fine to me. Like it was fine. I don't know, man. Like the amount that they put into how many days of Halloween are in New York? I mean, Jesus Christ. Like that's even if you're
Well-
going to agree that everybody in the world who lives in New York is always dressed up in horror garb on Halloween. Even if you accept that, there's like 3 days of Halloween in this movie. at
I will say,
least.
to be fair, though, living in Seoul, at least this is the Seoul experience. So living in Seoul, like if like last year, I think Halloween was on a Sunday or something, and this is typically how it is. There's events going on definitely Thursday night, Friday night, and Saturday night, and that's 3 days. So to be fair, like that's how it is here.
To that level with that many people.
Well, not to that
dressed
level
up?
because it's Asia, but and it's not like, you know, it's
I don't know.
more
Maybe I'm
regulated.
ignorant, but,
Yeah.
like I don't. I heard at least one person from New York say that that was pretty overblown. Not
Okay.
the amount of days, but the amount of people dressed up in a subway.
Well,
car with
okay, the
masks
amount-
on and
Oh, yeah,
shit.
like
Yeah.
90% of the people wearing
Yeah.
masks.
Well, yeah, so to be fair, if it were Seoul, if you were to go to like the foreign area where like a lot of people go for Halloween, then on Thursday night there would be a lot of people in the streets and in cabs and
Mhm.
stuff dressed up. Friday night there would be a lot of people, and Saturday night definitely. So
don't know.
in
Well,
some ways,
whatever.
probably
me,
not
it's-
to the extent that this movie portrays it, where like literally everybody on a subway car is dressed up, but they are living like near a campus, so like there could be a lot more young people. Like I don't
But that's
know.
not even like the totality of what that scene didn't land perfectly for me because I don't know. It was very. It didn't leave me feeling a lot of tension. I
Yeah.
really didn't feel like Mindy was gonna get got. And when
Mhm.
she was stabbed like enough times to where she should be dead, and they treated her like she was dead
Yeah.
for a minute.
Sure.
I was like,
Yeah.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
well, sure, but like,
Well, here's
I
the
don't know.
problem with that too. Mindy gets stabbed on the subway. Okay.
multiple times, yes.
Multiple times. The
Mhm.
only person who's there to support her and help her and save her is a ghost face.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
just red herring bullshit.
Why
man.
did she survive? She should not be alive.
It doesn't make sense. It's just to fool the audience.
I know. Yeah. And that's
Lazy
cheap.
writing.
That's the
that's-
cheap aspect of it.
Honestly, though, that doesn't make sense either because obviously, like, for some reason, her getting stabbed by a ghost face with the only person she knows that is part of their suspect pool being there too is a ghost face. Like,
Yeah.
why would she not be more suspicious of him once she lost eyeline of this guy, then get stabbed, then he comes and
But
rescues
I don't
her?
think
Like,
it
why
was.
is
I
there
don't
not
think it
more-
was him. I think it was his sister, and that's
Yeah,
kind of
it
the
was.
reveal of that there was 3 people.
But
Yeah.
if that was the case, then I don't understand why there was like this special attention paid to showing distance between them and like getting him out of the picture. It seems like it's more like if I was in Mindy's position, as soon as that happened, I would be like, "Don't you ever come near me again." Even more so than before, because he's the only person that she thinks is alive and is physically in the same zone as her that could have committed this crime on her. Like, why would she not be more suspicious? Why is she less suspicious after?
I
she
don't know.
gets
We
stabbed
really
with
don't
the only
see
person
her
there?
after that until she shows up after everything goes down, and she's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, you're
that's the
alive."
thing.
So like, we
Yeah,
really
I'm
don't
alive.
get much.
Yeah, but
time with her.
she doesn't know. She like he pulls her out of the train and she's like, oh, I guessed wrong again, talking to the
Oh,
fucking
yeah,
Ghostface
yeah.
killer, and I'm like,
well,
Even
you
if
have
she,
to put on a costume, stab her, take the costume off, and then go back and grab her and pull her off the train. I guess that's a lot to manage, I would think.
You mean
Also,
somebody
too,
stabbed her on the train and nobody noticed. So that goes
she
against
got
the whole thing they're
she
setting
got
up.
stabbed many times. How is she gonna like what go to a hospital, get patched
then-
up, and make it to the
She
theater?
doesn't. She wouldn't. She
She
wouldn't.
gonna Uber?
Let's-
Like,
I
what
think
is this?
we need to talk about the ending. We haven't really touched much
worst
on that.
part.
I don't think. Yeah,
Mm.
dude. So like
Again.
the idea of the 3 killers is neat, and I think the set piece of the theater with all the memorabilia and stuff is also neat.
It was cool.
I think they
It was
spend
cool.
way too much time in that place. You get kind of bored of it. Dude, Dermot Mulroney showing up and like doing like the whole family. The whole family is crazy. Like, why can't they just be out for revenge? They don't all have to act like fucking Stu and Billy. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And Dermot
they do.
Mulroney is not selling it. He's not.
No,
None of
he's
them
really
are.
not.
But he's really not.
He really was bad.
I like that guy in other things. And
Yeah.
Me too.
in this,
Yeah.
he's either he's
Oof.
one end of the spectrum or the other. There is no middle ground. And I kind of get why he was probably directed to do that. And it's because of Stu and Billy.
That's the
Like, it's
thing. I think it was a
because
directing
he has a
problem.
checkpoint to hit.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think it was
it's not
definitely a
choice he
directing
made.
problem. And then
Yeah.
God, the pandering, like the killing him with the TV and
Mhm.
making them act like that. I just like can't help but be like lose faith in these
Yeah.
guys for a couple reasons. One, you rushed this the fuck out. Even when we were saying last year, we're like, whoa. Even I, who loved 5, absolutely loved it. I was like, whoa, like 1 year later, you're gonna crank this thing out. And the problem with that is like if they had nailed it, I would have given them all the praise. Like, holy shit. But like when you flub like this, it's like, oh, like it looks like 10 times worse because it all feels like a money grab because then like I know they were directing
like
him
to-
to act that way. Like I know they were
Yeah.
at and like, oh, the TV, even the little scene between Kirby and Mindy doing like the horror trivia. I was like, oh my, and then
Forced.
and the lines of like, we're a family. I was like, is this the fucking Fast and Furious? I was like, what is happening right now?
No, because
Those
they're
are
drinking,
all director's choices, and that's the worst kind of part about this. It's like, ugh, if that guy had just given a bad performance, I could have been like, that kind of sucks. But he was made to do that.
if
I don't know.
if
It was
this,
dumb.
If this was Fast and the Furious, they drink Corona and not Coors Light. That's an important. Dude, Coors Light is all over.
The
this
sponsor's
fucking movie.
very different.
Yeah.
It is. yeah.
Danny was ironing a T-shirt
Ugh.
and drinking a Coors Light at the same time. Who does that?
Everybody's carrying Coors Light around. That's the way it goes. So yeah, the end of the movie though too also brings back the worst part of Scream 5 for me, which is Force Ghost Billy. Comes back. I know that there are people that like seeing Skeet again, and power to you, but I hate it. I hate it as a plot device. I hate that they introduced fucking psychotic dreaming into the canon of Scream. It just, oh God. Whatever little grounding to reality just slipped completely away when they did that, and they brought it back. They brought it the fuck back.
Yeah.
We don't. It's not being psychotic isn't like an inheritable trait, is it? I don't think it is.
Apparently,
Like,
it is
not,
in this fucking movie because
not just a
Sam-
psychotic, but like a murderer also.
Sam got it, and then also Dermot Mulroney. All 3 of his kids got some crazy from him. Apparently, it is definitely hereditary in the fucking Scream universe. I
don't
really
understand, man.
dislike this whole like, is Sam a psycho killer? She's not a psycho killer because like. One
Of
is
course
just
she's
not
fucking
interesting, and of course she's fucking not. Exactly, of course she's not. She wouldn't be our main character if she is, and
Mm-hmm.
they're obviously not bold enough to take a swing that big in the next movie to just make her fucking Ghostface.
Yeah.
That'll never fucking happen. So like at the end of this movie, where her and Mulroney like run full force into each other and fall off the balcony, the movie cuts to black for a second and then zooms in on Mulroney's eyes, and he like wakes
Mhm.
up as if he was knocked out for a minute or whatever. And instead of her just like, stabbing him when he's knocked out, or probably taking the handcuffs that I'm sure he has because he's a police officer, or Kirby's handcuffs, handcuffing him, tying him up, something. She runs off and takes her dad's Ghostface outfit and puts that on, and then hides and lets him shoot his gun several times at her and her friends. And then she jumps out and stabs him because we have to have her maybe be a serial killer for some reason. It's just doesn't make sense, and it's
She
not
stabs him like 35 times and then turns and looks at Jenna Ortega and she's like, I don't need to stab you
And
anymore. But I'm gonna
also-
anyway.
Yeah, she stabs him in the eye, which is a great kill. I don't like it, but it's a great kill. But also, like, why is Jenna Ortega all of a sudden jizzing when she's murdering the Ethan character? She stabs him in the mouth and is like so stoked about it. Like she's not even related to Skeet. What's happening?
Yeah,
I don't know,
this
man.
whole ending was, other than there being like 3 Ghostface killers and there being like 1 or 2 like cool like still moments, you know.
Yeah.
It was like a big bust for me. The acting was really bad. Yeah, you're right. The motivations, it just feels like spectacle for spectacle's sake. It doesn't.
It's retread
Totally.
on retread on
Yeah.
retread, and like it's retread. Like even the spoilers themselves are retreads, not subversions, direct
Yeah,
retreads of previous
are.
movies, and that's something that I expect more from the Scream franchise than to do that. Find
Yeah.
a way to subvert it. Talk about some other aspect of horror media or other media that's adjacent. Talk about fucking anything besides the same thing you've already talked about. That's the one thing you're not supposed to do, because that's what like this whole franchise is at its best when it's tackling some new interesting thought. And that's
And
where this all
honestly,
falls
I
short.
don't think it's that hard to do with the pieces that are already in place. Honestly, like even with the whole idea of, you know, we started these rumors online, you know, we're
Mhm.
feeding this idea so that other people attack them, or it almost would have been more interesting if they weren't the Ghostface killers at all and they were just feeding like information or feeding these
Oh,
rumors
yeah.
so that other people were taking it upon themselves to dress
That'd
as
be so much
Ghostface
better.
to like
Absolutely,
attack
and
them.
kill people.
Like, yeah.
Well, that's already kind of happening. That's why I thought like the opening,
Yeah.
like with Flash Thompson getting killed, is
Yeah.
like, oh, there's multiple like factions of Ghostfaces.
Sure,
Maybe
yeah.
there's like a cult. Maybe there's some commentary about groupthink, where everybody like
Yeah.
a group of people
Yeah.
online, a bunch of incel motherfuckers like Stu and Billy, but found each other online, and these guys are just like feeding them, and then ultimately even surviving Dermot Mulroney's little clique
Yeah.
of killers. They walk outside and there's just like a fucking 6 dozen Ghostface killers surrounding them in an alleyway. Like, do something, man.
would be
Do
dope.
something
Yeah,
with
that
that
would be
information.
cool. Yeah.
Also, like them dropping the old Ghostface masks at all the murder scenes, I thought was a cool idea, because they even say like, oh, they're leading us back to the original. It's got to be
Yeah.
tied to the original in some way, and that just doesn't really mean
Matter.
anything.
Yeah, they're
at all.
counting down, and then they were like, we're counting down to this, to us killing you. It's like, why?
Yeah, I think it was just
Because they're
another red
framing her.
herring, making
Oh,
us
that's
think
right, that's right,
Perhaps,
yeah.
perhaps Stu.
Because
I mean,
her dad's the original. Okay, I gotcha. Yeah, okay.
yeah.
I think they were framing her as being like the secret killer of everybody.
How
because
the
that's
fuck would she get those masks? I don't know. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't make much sense to me.
No,
I mean,
it doesn't.
sense isn't always like first and foremost
Also,
in these
too-
movies in terms
yeah.
of like logical sense,
Yeah.
but at least thematic sense is usually made, and it's
I'll
not
take
happening.
that.
Also, they make it seem like the killer from 5, the brother or whatever,
Yeah.
that he's been collecting these things like his whole life, or at least at a certain point, which means that his dad has been helping him like steal evidence since he was a teenager, presumably. And
Yeah.
when there were a bunch of murders and this kid was found to be a murderer in Woodsboro, nobody thought like, where's this evidence?
Dude, right? Also,
In
like,
fairness, evidence.
Yeah,
in police
but like
lockup is
evidence
not
for
very safe.
all 5
Personally.
Scream killers.
No, I mean, I hear you. I
it's
hear
just
you.
gone.
It's a
Yeah.
tall
Literally
order.
everything is gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, if Kirby is working for the FBI and she has been following these recent murder cases and has an interest in them, like how would she not know who Rich's family is at all? Like
Yeah.
she just wouldn't know any of that, or like where he actually came from, New York, and not from wherever the fuck he was pretending to be
Yeah,
from.
what was she investigating? She said, I've been tracking their movements online. What else have you been doing, though? Because if you're
Yeah.
actually investigating these things and you're obsessed with it or whatever, I would think you would want to go check out at least a little bit of the evidence, which ding is suddenly missing. So,
Gale finds the warehouse. Like,
yeah,
the
we
FBI
don't. Do we get any
agent
information on
does
how
it.
that's done? They just say, "I'm good at my job," and they write it
Yeah,
off as a
she
girl
said-
boss moment.
They were like using an alias, or I don't forget. It doesn't fucking matter. She
Oof.
found it.
Oof.
She found it. We just
We
don't know.
We turned our positive points into complaining.
We
again.
did.
Yeah.
We're like the opposite of Midas.
There was, so I will say, I dug that this was set during Halloween, even if the number of costumes was unbelievable. There's a lot of like really great references. There is the girl from Ready or Not. There's
Mhm.
a Babadook, and my favorite was actually Ethan's
Murder
costume.
Party.
Murder Party, yeah.
I was like, there's Murder Party. I was psyched that got play, and then it really
Yeah.
pissed me off later when they had the Mindy and Hayden Panettiere, whatever character's name is,
Kirby.
when they have their
Yeah.
back and forth and they're talking about like comparatively baseline horror movies. I'm
Oh
like,
my god,
man, you
dude.
made a Murder Party reference in your movie. You can't. And these two were supposed to be the
Yeah.
experts. Go a little deeper.
I
and
did like the
fucking
murder
what's your
party
favorite
reference.
Halloween
I wrote a
movie or
note on that.
whatever.
I was like, oh shit, there he is.
Yeah.
That's
He's,
a deep
he-
hole. That's way different than having fucking
is.
Pinhead and
They have
Yeah.
fucking like horror podcast posters on the wall and shit, but when they actually sit down and have the prerequisite comparing horror notes moment, they talk about what was it like? What's your favorite chainsaw? Check this chainsaw movie or whatever it was. I can't remember.
Nightmare, Friday
Nightmare.
the 13th.
Yeah, like
we talk
the-
about Psycho
The
2,
baseline horror franchise.
Psycho 2's underrated. Oh shit though.
Candyman.
Did y'all see the fucking in the roommates
Fucking-
room? She had the straight chillin' sticker up. Did y'all
I
see
did.
that
I
shit?
saw that.
Oh my god.
Right next to a Cooter Club sticker.
Oh yeah,
Oh
that's
my
like, dude.
God.
If there's a Cooter
Ah.
Club sticker in 7, then
Yeah. They also, something they were kind of hinting at the beginning, where like they were talking about Jalos a lot. I was
mm,
like, what if they took Ghostface and had like a couple like classic Jalo moments where you get like POV and you see like him wearing leather gloves with a knife.
be cool.
Why
following
not?
somebody
Yeah, that's a
around.
good idea.
Like
Yeah.
there's so many cool things that they kind of hint at and play with. Even if they just would have full on pandered and brought fucking Stu Macher back and he was the killer, that would have been more exciting than what we got.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like
Yeah.
I didn't see the end coming. I didn't see Dermot Mulroney being the killer because it was too fucking obvious.
Yeah.
Like I actively convinced myself that couldn't be. I thought for sure he was a red herring because why the like and the brother, the girl I completely bought as being dead. I didn't think about it that way, but the rest of them I was like, no. I mean, obviously they're pointing at Dermot here. Obviously they're pointing at Meek Kid also. There's got to be some other subversion, and there just wasn't. Like
dude, they
that sucks.
they kind of not really sneakily threw in the incel insult there. I mean, clearly the
Yeah.
Oh,
killer
yeah,
was
die
a
a
virgin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Randy, we all know you loved that scene. She got stabbed him in the mouth and said "die a virgin," and then she
Mhm,
creamed apparently.
Oh, I'd
mhm.
enjoy going to the weenie roast very much.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just and also too, the problem is now they can't really bring Stu back because that would be
No.
some pandering bullshit, because them saying like, if you believe he's dead and
Yeah,
that's the TV that killed Stu and like all that stuff, it's like you guys are going too damn hard. Like you are going way too hard on this shit.
I feel like this movie was written by a message board. Like I don't think that it's like it seems like they just didn't go hard enough and they pandered, but I don't know.
It feels a little bit like the same. Yeah, again, the same
Yeah,
thing. It kind of feels like the problem with Halloween 2, David Gordon Green version or whatever. Kills. Thank you. Goddamn, it's getting confusing. But it kind of feels like that, where it's like, look, here's fucking Miriam Chambers, and here's this person, and here's the fucking guy, and he's gonna say everyone's entitled
fucking
to a
guy.
good scare. It's just like
Yeah.
Here's the
we've
fucking
seen
guy.
the movies, we've seen them. Like we don't need to see them again with these lines. We don't need to say like, hey, that's the TV they killed Stu, and like all it's like, guys,
You know, I
did
can
you
handle
forget,
different.
did you forget how to write a movie? Like, there's
like,
no
I have a
subtlety
high tolerance
here.
for that with a Scream movie, and this well exceeded that.
Oh
Like,
yeah, oh
that's the
yeah.
problem. Is there's good reason for this particular franchise to be metatextual. Great reason for it, but that's the only trick, and they do that trick the entire fucking movie.
Oof.
It's too much, and it has no substance, and that's the real
Mhm.
issue.
I
All right,
agree.
we're just rating it now.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and wrap up. Any final thoughts? And of course, out of 5, what are you going to rate Scream 6? Juice,
We didn't.
why don't you kick us off? Save it for your final thoughts.
Yeah.
Randy.
Oh man, I took a lot of notes, so I'm gonna breeze through them. Guy takes his mask off at the beginning. Thought it could be a subversion, but I also was like, this guy's about to die, and then he did, and then I was like, oh, it's not going to be a subversion, and then that kind of like left me a little worried. Watching Friday the 13th, she wasn't human. Another thing they kind of bring up, like when he's talking, he's like, she wasn't a human anymore, just an animal. And I was like, okay, maybe they'll explore that in some kind of way. I wasn't like particularly excited about that, but I thought that could, and then they didn't. C- on the Giallo paper. No Giallo ever comes up again. I did like the gritty mask. Who gives a fuck about movies? I was like, oh, hopefully that's gonna be cool. Nope. Spying on the guys through the window and somehow like that's okay. That was a weird moment for me too. Right after they're doing the whole thing of like, I put a knife in her and she's like an animal, and then there was this clear like connection to, you know, like treating people as things. Then like the girls are just staring on this guy through the window and it's like all cool and chill. And I was like, well, that's weird. So didn't like that. Sequel in college, just like Scream 2. At that time, I thought it was cute. At the end, did not. Cardboard Night from fucking Murder Party. Love that shit. Jenna Ortega, absolutely adorable. I know she's like getting a lot of play and stuff right now, but I still like, I think she does a good job in this, and she's
everything. She's good.
And she's adorable. Bodega scene, awesome. Ghostface with a shotgun, love that shit. Looks like the mask from Halloween.
Ghostface with a shotgun would be a great alternate title to this movie.
Yeah, I love it.
Give me that.
Yeah, if they like went hard on that would be totally fine. Kirby FBI, too cheesy. Even at the bit, like when she showed up as FBI, I was like, nah. Stab through the door scene, another one. Red right hand, they brought it back. I'm going to die a virgin. Incel. Annika ladder kill scene, solid. I like that whole scene. You fuck with my family, you die. Woof. The movie theater setting, really cool. Horror trivia between Kirby and Mindy. Oof. Dewey theme, a little scotch, like that. They wait. Oh, I didn't like this either. We didn't bring it up. The way they talk about Ghostface, like it's the same person, really bothers me. They're like, what's your motivation this time? Or what's your motivation now? It's like, this has been like 12 different people. It's just not the same. Y'all treat it like it's the same person. It's clearly not. I like, oh, you failed many times before. It's like, this is not the same person. It's never has been the same person. So I don't like that.
Semantically change that around and it's fine.
Yeah. The picture Dewey had in his house was in Gail's house. I thought that was kind of sweet. She's more sad over Gail. Like her weeping over Gail didn't really make sense to me because she didn't really know Gail that much and didn't really like Gail that much. So I don't know. We're family, Fast and Furious. Subway scene, amazing. I thought they were going to do the whole you stole the franchise from me with Kirby being the killer. Like, oh, I was the first survivor. It should be mine or something. They didn't. The three killers was cool, and I like the scenes with them, but the whole acting that they do with that rip off of Scream 2 with the family legacy doesn't always have to be a bad thing. Yes, apparently it does, unfortunately. This movie was fun. But the ending really whiffed it for me, and really kind of cheapens like this little trilogy they got going on now. They'd really have to do, I feel like we said this again in Halloween, they really have to do something really amazing with the third one to like pull it all off. I think they can kind of like coast and still just be like fun and okay, but ultimately disappointing. Still better than Halloween, but they're losing ground. They're definitely losing ground a little bit. overall, I'll give it a 2.5. You know, for the visual, I would throw on like, I don't really want to watch this from beginning to end, but I would throw on scenes of this. Like the Halloween setting is cool, and like pretty much like the you know, like the first 2/3 are like really fun to just watch and just to have on for kills and tension and stuff like that. But yeah, it's 2.5 for me. It's just like middling. This is kind of what I thought about originally Halloween 2018. It's like, you know, there's some okay scenes. It's cool to see this like killer in this setting, but like ultimately not really for me story wise. So 2.5 from Soju. Bob, out of 5, where are you gonna put Six Cream?
Hey, I think at best this movie is just sort of like a somewhat effective slasher movie. It does not do the Scream franchise justice. It's got a decent body count in it, so like if you're just showing up to watch people die and that's it, like you do get that. I think there's about like 15 deaths, but like strangely enough, 4 or even 5, depending on how you look at it, are killers. And then the rest of the people that die, we just do not know anything about at all. So there's no stakes, but you get the body count. The commentary, as far as like the social commentary, is kind of there. It's really loose. The meta aspect is kind of there, but it's also really loose. So like you're not getting that like Scream goodness that you really want, or that I really want out of a Scream movie. It's just kind of failing in a lot of different places for me. There's again hardly any comedy in this, which is a problem I had in the 5th one. It takes itself like way too it's too self-serious, and that tone is definitely carried over in this one. There's sort of this like forced conflict between the Carpenter sisters, where like Tara needs to be left alone to fuck strange guys, and like Sam is too overprotective, and it just doesn't feel very natural. And then Sam's dating this Danny guy. We don't really know anything about him, but like I feel like he's kind of overacting a little bit. That feels forced as well. And Tara, her romance with Chad also feels kind of rushed and forced for me. Like all of the dramatic aspects just feel kind of underbaked.
Did they ever do any hinting towards Chad and Jenna Ortega's character before?
Yeah,
in 5?
not I
No,
don't
because
think
he
in
had a
5.
girlfriend that dies.
It
Okay.
in
died,
5,
yeah.
yeah.
I haven't seen that one more recently, so
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I think it's
Go ahead,
it
Bill.
just starts in this movie. It felt kind of just generally underbaked across the board. They go back to Scream 2 and rehash a lot of that stuff. I thought the opening was really interesting and felt fresh, and they were definitely doing things with a Scream movie that we'd never seen done in a Scream movie before. Got me pretty stoked for the movie. In the middle, it just felt like it lost its footing a bit. Its pacing felt kind of slow. The bodega set piece is really dope. I like that a lot. And the subway worked for me as well. But then the ending came around and they did not stick the landing. And the landing was by far the worst part of the movie, for sure. The killer reveal was so underwhelming and poorly acted and poorly written. We don't know fucking anything about these people other than they're related to Richie. Like you can't tell me a single thing about Ethan other than he's in an econ class allegedly. And Quinn likes to fuck a lot of dudes, and like that's all we know. Dermot Mulroney's a creepy cop, I guess. It's like we don't know shit. We don't know fucking anything about him. It's just not particularly good. There's I don't know. I
Radio
guess we've
Silence
kinda-
is not writing us into Scream 7.
I know.
Yeah,
That actually, I
that's
wonder if that's
fine.
part of the play. I wonder if it's like,
That's fine.
you know, if they're greasing some wheels by putting their posters up.
Yeah,
Gotta
maybe,
grease the
maybe, yeah.
unions, eh, boys?
Buying some goodwill there. The apartment scene didn't really work for me. The setup of it and like ultimately what happens, we find out Quinn is somehow still fucking alive, doesn't work for me. I really, really wish they would give up on Sam potentially being a serial killer just because her dad was, and the ghost Billy doesn't work. It didn't work for me in 5 either. It's just not fun. It's not fun, and it's poorly executed. I don't care for it too much. Other than a few like pretty cool set pieces and a few decent kills, I think that's all that really have going on here. Plus a half star for being clearly sponsored by Coors Light. I'll give them that. The soundtrack was pretty cool. They did bring back Red Right Hand, which is always fun. They had a
Nice.
horrible Crows track on there, which was dope. They had some decent jams for sure. I don't know. I think ultimately I'm going to come in with a 2.5 on this as well. Randeezy, how do you feel?
Well, I will disagree with you on one thing in particular, which is that it's no fun. That's like the best compliment I have for this movie, is that it has a lot of fun things in it, as much as I would expect from even the worst Scream movie. So like that's one thing that as many critiques as I've given, like the feeling I had in the theater, I had a good time. Like I was ultimately enjoying myself. And if that's your barometer for whether or not it's a good movie, then I would say it's not that bad of a movie. But I'm thinking more critically about it, like I tend to. It just doesn't hold together well, and I agree with most of both of your complaints. One thing that we didn't touch on that I think I really wanted to mention, because it's central to this movie, is the sister relationship, which starts out kind of like, I can understand a pathos that's happening between these two characters. That's fine. But the way they like oversell it in the end, it just adds more cheese to the end, where it's like, you gotta let me go. And then it's like, it's just, there's no one major quip at the end of the movie like there are that I can remember from the that are in like all the other Scream movies, like not in my movie, don't mess with the original, those sorts of things. There's no one of those. There's like 12 half formed kinda quips, like you gotta let me go, or like but then again, I don't want to see you, whatever she says, and when she decides to kill Dermot Mulroney after all, I can't even remember. It's weak. That's what I'm saying. And it ultimately, that relationship ends up feeling a little bit weak in the end, because it just gets mixed up with even more cheese, and it becomes a fucking fondue pot at the end of this movie. I could see Kirby as an FBI agent maybe, but I think maybe it would have been cooler and more like horror referential if she was an FBI trainee or something from the academy that found out about this and wants to help out. That puts her in Silence of the Lambs area, like you could do some shit with that. But no, she's just kind of full-scale FBI that nobody really checks up on except for Dermot, who's trying to destroy her. The Gale situation in this movie entirely sucks. Like, without Sydney as sort of like there, or Dewey, she's kind of left adrift, and they don't know what to do with her except what's been done 100 times before, and it does not service her character well. It doesn't make me feel good for the Gale character that she cannot, function with the lessons that she has learned time and time again. It makes me feel sad for her. She also doesn't care at all about her boyfriend, which is a damn shame. She learned nothing from.
We don't even know if that was her boyfriend, to be fair.
Well, just
whoever she's living with after a year of Dewey's death.
To even just like
She's
in fight or flight.
around.
Dying. Yeah,
you could argue she's in fight or flight, but I just like ultimately like the fact that like she put herself in the position that this movie writes her in the position of being at odds with everybody, so she has to like bad bitch her way through. She can be that bad bitch with people respecting her. Like, she can do that. You don't have to have the new people that don't know her and know what she's capable of be the doubters. Have the whatever, like
if I
Deputy
never
hear
the term bad bitch again, I would be okay.
Yeah, I understand that feeling entirely. Yeah, okay. And Force Goes Billy, like it was the worst part of part 5. It's one of the worst parts of this one, but it has a lot more competition in this one, which is how I know this is a much worse movie. Let's see. The museum and theater was an overused set piece. They took the punch out of it. It was a shame. I wanted there to be something more at the core of this. I think, Rob, maybe you did point to some things where they were like just sort of gesturing towards a few things. And this movie franchise, for as much as it does go to the social commentary, well, it never goes like hyper overt with it for the most part. At least not when it's doing its. But I think it definitely clearly outlines what it's doing, but it informs some of the character stuff, but it doesn't detract from the fun of the movie. This just doesn't have that. It's like a hollow space where that should be, and it feels like the kills suffer for it. But ultimately, I enjoyed it as a slasher movie, to what you were saying, Bob. I enjoyed it just like strictly as it's good for a slasher movie. It's bad for a Scream sequel. That's my feeling towards it, I think. and because of that, I'm gonna give it a 2.5. Yeah.
Whoa, boys are united.
Whoa.
Feels
I
good
did
when we're
not-
all on the same side, huh, boys?
Oh my god.
So plump, so right.
So right, we can
The
stand
boys are
united.
back. It's a rare day.
This is a rare day. When
Ooh.
Bob and
All
Juice
right.
are on the same side, we're unstoppable, baby. Here we go.
It's true. Try and stop this show. You just can't. All right. Well,
that's what a boy likes.
aggregates obviously a 2.5 from the Straight Chilling crew. Let's jump over into Rotten Tomatoes and see what the critics and users say about Six Cream.
Certified fresh to death.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Rotten Tomatoes segment in which we're going to give these two gentlemen the chance to guess within the best of their abilities what the aggregate positive review score is on RottenTomatoes.com, starting with the critic score. There are 230 reviews, 230. I'm going to start with Bob today. Bob, where do you think those 230 reviewers netted out positivity-wise?
I think it's going to be high because I've only ever seen like glowing ass reviews for this so far. I don't think I've seen a single negative review, honestly. There's got to be some for sure. So I'm gonna go high with a 90.
90. All right.
Let's get crazy.
Where are you falling?
Not that high, but I agree that there has not been a lot of negative press about this, at least, and that's kind of worrisome to me. Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but I'm gonna give this a not that high, so I'll play it a little safe, but I'll take the boys. Give me 86, please.
The boys.
Project
All right.
86.
Well, the boys are serving you well. This is 77%.
Okay, not
Certified
yeah,
fresh.
okay, yeah,
So whatever the glowing praise we've been hearing, and that is what's been advertised, and
Yeah.
mostly what you've seen on horror forums and stuff, or at least I have. But it
That's
must have
not
been
the
evening
only
out as
thing.
time has
Yeah.
gone on.
Okay, that's good.
Um,
That's good. Okay.
77. We're gonna go to the audience score real quick, and then we'll read the critics' consensus. We'll start with Juice. Juice, where do you think the 2,500 plus verified ratings net out to?
Well, I think I got a hell yeet, but I also I also think it's probably gonna be maybe higher. That's risky. I'll stick with like this. I'll say 75 then.
75. All right, Bob, how about you?
75. I'll go a little higher.
Okay.
With an 80, please.
80%. All right, boys, ready to have your dicks rocked?
Okay.
92%.
Holy
Bob's
shit!
taking this one.
There it is. In the 90s.
Oh no! What's
You know that I'm the cream of the crop.
what's
The
wrong?
scream of the crop.
What's wrong with all you out there?
What's wrong with
You
all
guys
of
look-
you out there?
Um,
What's wrong?
What's wrong?
What's wrong with all of you?
The critics'
All of
consensus
you.
reads as follows. Certain aspects of horror's most murderously meta franchise may be going stale, but a change of setting and some inventive set pieces help keep Scream 6 reasonably sharp. I think that's a little generous, but I can understand.
You know
that point
what?
of view.
To be fair, though, this is better than Jason Takes Manhattan.
Oh,
Yeah, you know what?
Any
They cleared
day.
that bar with flying colors. Congrats
crushed
to
it.
them.
To be fair, you know,
You know?
which that was what, part 8?
Hey, yeah.
All right, well, they're a few
But
off.
Friday Part 6 fucks.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so if we're going like by numerals, this one is the loser.
Which this one is the first one to use the Roman numeral for some reason. After
They're
the
Because
all
it
movie
was
over
called
the
kind of like an
Scream.
M.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
from Scream to Scream 6 Roman numeral. I don't know.
I kind of
Yeah.
like appreciate that we don't have to deal with subtitles though, like Scream 6, the walk
The
down
Deliverance
Manhattan
or whatever,
some,
yeah.
some bullshit.
Chase
Ghostface
Ghostface takes
fucks
Manhattan,
the Big
shit,
Apple.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Dang.
Oof.
Also,
Yep,
too,
so-
one little more nitpick. when they call Gail and they're like, we've never talked on the phone. It's like, how do you
How would you
know?
know?
How
Yeah.
would you know?
It's
I
impossible.
don't like them treating
I didn't even
Ghostface
think
like
about
it's the
that.
same fucking person. It's not.
Yeah.
It's been 12 people.
They tell you in case you don't know.
I guess they tell you. Yeah, you could make that a piece of trivia, but you don't have to speak every piece of trivia out
Yeah.
loud in the movie for it to be trivia.
And then also fuck up.
Yeah,
So much.
Gail could say, wow, we've never
I've
talked on the
never-
phone
yeah.
before.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's a
Yeah.
great point. I didn't even notice that, but you're
stupid.
totally
I
right.
hate that shit.
Very stupid. And he even says, so at the beginning, who gives a fuck about movies? And in that conversation, he even says, like, well, it's a franchise now, anybody's game. And it's like, but how would you know that? You don't give a shit about movies and the rules. It doesn't make any sense. All of a sudden, you care about the rules.
Ugh.
It's just, it's bad writing.
Ugh, it is bad.
All right. Reading a negative review off of the critics so that we can find one that is hopefully a little humorous. Here's one. There just isn't enough juice behind the stagecraft. Come on, Bob. Come on, juice.
I know. Come on. Whoa.
There's just not enough juice behind the stagecraft. The Scream
Get in
movies
there.
have thrived because they've always stayed one step ahead of their source material. But as the
Not
franchise grows more
always.
bloated, they risk becoming their own punchline. I think that's pretty apt, personally.
Yeah.
I mean, I would say that at its best, like we were saying, like when this movie is when this franchise is at its best, it's talking about something that other horror movies and other like the horror community is just in a conversation about.
Skirting around or
I mean,
Mhm.
yeah,
That
the
maybe
original
we've
is
been talking about for like a year.
the original is riffing on the same old tired bullshit that we had seen for like 2+ decades in every fucking slasher movie
Mhm.
that's ever been made, and it's highlighting it, saying, "Oh, that's fucking
And
silly. Let's
reinventing it.
let's subvert these things and change them around." And this movie's just doing the same fucking thing.
It's literally
Scream 2 did.
Yeah.
It's making the same fucking mistakes.
It's cribbing off its own movies, and that's how you know.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't even come up with a clever name for the horror franchise in this one. They didn't even do the cutesy prequels or screamquels or any of that shit. Come on.
It's just
I
a
don't
franchise.
I don't think this was somebody on our Slack. I think I read this somewhere else, but I saw somebody saying like, oh, they were subverting expectations because the people didn't get killed. And I was like, stop standing for this.
No,
Stop.
no.
Cut that shit
I mean,
out.
you can
Cut
sure that
that shit.
subverts expectations, but not the way that anyone wants it
That's,
to.
yeah,
That is-
that's not a
that's-
good thing.
That is
Yeah,
literally
they could
what
subvert
Mindy
expectations by having a
tells
tea party
you.
with Ghostface in the third act, but that doesn't help anything.
Mindy tells you it's a subversion of a twist on a twist at the end is what she
Oof.
says.
Oof.
And like, if you can't figure that out on your own, like you're probably watching this franchise in a different way than we are, obviously, which
Oof.
is fine if you just want to see some murder on the screen.
Yeah.
But like, you shouldn't have to explicitly
Dude.
say that. And also, that's not an interesting twist when there's
the
no
dude's-
stakes at all.
The dude sitting to my right at the end of the movie, like when she says you got to let me go or whatever, the guy to my right just like, and this isn't an Alamo Draft House, so you're not like there's rules against talking or whatever. He just couldn't contain himself and was like, "Oh my god, that's the cheesiest shit I ever heard in my life." Or something. I thought it was so.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard at that. Anyway, so that's our Rotten Tomatoes segment. No, we're not men of the people this week by any
Nah,
means.
that's okay.
So, sorry for shitting all over this movie that I'm sure a lot of you listening really enjoyed.
Yeah,
you can
that's
still like
fair.
it though. That's
She
fine.
is a super duper pooper.
Oh,
We are super duper poopers this week. Glad
Oh.
you liked it. I wish I loved it.
And
I
we
watched
just
it.
cemented the fact that we will never appear in any Scream film.
buddy,
like
that
us.
shit
They're
was-
not
that
calling
shit
shit
us.
was in
already-
cement. To
They're
begin
not.
was
with.
already
They're not
cemented, yeah.
calling us.
You mean
Let
they're
me-
not scraping the bottom of the barrel yet?
Maybe if they come to Seoul, then they'll, call Soju, but probably just call somebody else.
Oh yeah. Oh, I'm in Seoul. I have to call Soju the person right now. That's what I have to do. We got a little bit of trivia on this one. Let's go ahead and jump into it.
It's totally time for trivia.
Totally time for trivia. So this movie was greenlit on February 3rd, 2022, 3 weeks after Scream or 5 Scream was released. So they greenlit this one pretty quick. Also, just to be clear, we mentioned Scream 7 was greenlit. That is not officially announced. There was like
Oh, really?
somebody at like geekrant.net Gov
Oh,
or whatever
God.
the fuck, like found like has a person on the
President
inside that
Biden says Scream 7 is
Yeah.
on its way.
yeah, somebody knows somebody who said Scream 7's greenlit and it's filming this year. That has not officially been announced.
We need to just start putting like the hottest takes on our
Just
bullshit on
bullshit,
our
yeah.
website. Yeah, I'm just gonna
Dude,
start writing the most bullshit articles.
We don't need to be Armand White here. We're
I'm just
already
gonna have
pretentious
Chat
enough.
GPT make up the most crazy.
Right, Scream
articles I made
7.
up.
It
Write
would
me a
probably
hot
be-
take.
Betty, you have gonorrhea.
Chat GPT, write a hot take.
the
on
fuck? Dude, Chat GPT could write a Scream movie that is as good as this. I guarantee it.
it.
That should
It
be
could.
the Scream
It
7.
could.
They should absolutely. That is prescient. The first
Yeah.
feature film,
Yeah,
major
written
motion
by
picture,
AI.
written by AI, and it would make no sense, and that would be fine.
Let's do
It'll
it,
be
And
boys.
then
as
Come
hopefully
on.
good.
Noble or whatever be made.
This movie did make $44.5 million opening weekend, so we're getting another one for sure. That's a franchise record for opening weekend as well.
Is it?
Yeah,
Shit.
franchise record.
Oof.
Neve Campbell obviously wasn't in this movie. On June 6th, 2022,
Sorry,
she
did
said
you say
she would not. Neve.
That's how it's
whatever the fuck.
pronounced. Rob claims.
Rob
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Said she's not going to be in this movie because I guess there was some sort of salary dispute between her and Paramount. She claimed they weren't paying her what they would pay a man who basically started in the previous 5 movies, which, hey, get your money. I don't, no hate. I also totally don't think we needed her in this movie. We sure shit didn't need Gail. That is for
Yeah.
sure.
Oh, she sure shit didn't need to stay alive to be in another
No.
one.
No, she didn't. Maybe she got a clause in her contract or some shit. I don't know, where she can't actually die. I don't know, man. It just doesn't make sense.
Probably. Honestly, that's probably true.
This is the first acting credit for Hayden Panettiere in 5 years. She had not done anything for a while. But I guess she actually contacted, I don't know if it was the directors or who she contacted, but she hit them up and was like, hey, apparently I'm a fucking fan favorite and you don't really see me die. So they had her in this movie.
You know what's crazy is we don't actually know if Stu died. So
what if he was in the next movie?
Oh my
We
god!
did-
If they
to be
fucking
fair, we
saw
don't know
Seven
if
that shit.
anybody died. Maybe it just all the killers are coming back.
The next
What
next
if that
Scream
was
movie should
just
end with
actually
fucking.
Billy?
Oh my God.
It's just real Billy, not Ghost Billy.
Just creeping around.
The next movie
mean,
should
that-
end with they unveil the Scream mask or
hide.
whatever, and it's a Matthew Lillard mask under it, and then he pulls it off, and it's John Kramer. Da da dun.
What if
Da da dun. Da da da.
Hell
da, da.
yeah.
he's been lying dead on the floor the whole movie? What if they went full fucking Scooby Doo?
Sid.
And it turns out that Billy was alive the whole time, but he was somehow using like a projector on his body to
Oh,
make
yeah,
him look
Pepper's ghost,
translucent.
sure.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
my god.
full Scooby Doo that shit. I would have gotten away with it too if
Oh.
it wasn't for you kids and your dog that they now have that can talk. All right, trivia.
That can
This is the first-
talk. Rob's getting so worked up about their-
I'm so mad at this movie I'm making out.
Then now they got a fucking dog that can talk.
Well, these people are
These-
idiots.
I can't believe they wrote Scrappy Doo into the sequel I'm writing in my head.
I mean, that would be different. That would
Rob
be
just
different.
loves Scream so much, you know.
I do. I love Scream. This is the first Scream movie to be shot outside the United States. It was shot in Montreal, Canada. So not actually filmed in
Living
New
up
York
to it,
City.
the Takes Manhattan reputation of not filming anywhere near
Yeah,
it.
You
It's
cheap
Chiller's spot.
bastards.
yeah. Mike Shinoda wrote a song called "Still Alive." It's featured in this movie with Demi Lovato, which apparently is a jam. It's getting a lot of play. This is the longest movie in the entire franchise. 2 hours and 2 minutes.
Not so much
Uh,
longer.
It
No,
doesn't-
not,
I
it's
didn't-
not terribly longer.
I didn't feel that much longer, certainly,
Nah,
but
they're all
it didn't
about
feel
2
great either.
hours. Yeah.
One of the taglines for this movie was "New York, New Rules," which new decade, new rules. It was the tagline for Scream 4, so it's kind of harkening back to that. This is the first in the franchise that has 3 killers, which you could argue there's definitely 4 and maybe even 5 if you count the dude that's dead in the fridge that planned to kill
Yeah.
people but didn't.
yeah.
So 4 or 5 really, which is nuts. This
You
movie.
added nothing to that conversation.
This movie has the highest amount of survivors. There are 7. Gail, Kirby, Sam, Tara, Mindy, Chad, and Danny all survive.
Wasn't this movie supposed
to back.
even within the confines of the movie, they say that it's supposed to have a higher body count. Is that accurate to this movie?
I believe
it's a version,
15.
Randy.
Yeah, they say they're going to do it, but they don't have to do it.
They don't
I think
have to do
there's
fucking
15
anything because
kills.
franchises do anything. Like that's not an angle. That's the opposite of an angle.
We don't have to
Yeah.
be a worm that infects people, so we won't.
What?
What are you talking about?
Jason Goes to Hell. Come on.
Oh, okay.
I guess.
Dude, what if they turned into worms in Scream 7? 7 Cream? They're
Dude.
just worms.
Seven
Worms.
Cream
We'll
people's
see.
face physically morph into ghost faces. That's how it happens.
Oh, man. I wonder if they're going to go to California for part 7 and just
I mean,
redo fucking Scream 3 again.
I mean,
The whole,
Woodsboro is a
redo it.
California town. Like it's a Southern California tale.
Oh,
What?
wow.
ever, man.
They're going to
that's all
Mexico.
trivia. That's
To
all.
space.
You boys like Mexico? That's all the trivia that I have.
Spring
Let's
break.
talk Cooter of the Week.
Straight chillin'.
Gooder of the
Juice, what's a Cooter? Why do we hunt them?
Ho! Cooter's character type and a straight chillin' exclusive. Cooter must hit 3 of these 5 points to be considered a cooter. We want the cooter with the most points. The 5 points of cooterdom are sexual deviance, manipulation, smug arrogance, overall looking attire, and overall patheticness. Boys, do we have a cooter in Six Cream? Probably.
I think we have a basic stock standard cooter maybe in the date rapist at the Halloween party.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
That's a date rapist. So
Yeah.
you got sexual
Some
deviance.
manipulation and sexual deviance.
Yeah, some
Oh,
smug
all the beers are
arrogance.
gone. I got some Goldschlag in my room,
He
bitch.
comes straight out of the book. He's a
I got some
textbook cooter, I
cores in
think.
my room.
Yeah.
Got some
I'm-
tall
oh
boys.
man, you want to taste the Rockies, baby?
It's always cold, but never let it get hot. It's great.
So sexual deviance, manipulation. I feel like he was wearing something really fucking cootery, but I can't remember off the
He
top
was
of my head
dressed
what it
up
was.
as a risky business. I
Oh
think.
right, Tom Cruise
Tom Cruise,
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
enough. I think that's
That's-
dressing as a cooter for
Yeah.
Halloween is cooter behavior.
thinking that that's a cool costume that you want to emulate that man. Yeah, that's enough.
Dude,
No,
Um,
that's
gotta go
that, you know
murder
what that
party
costume says to
costume.
me. I don't want to invest in a costume.
That says I took my pants off.
yeah. All right.
Yeah.
So we got a cooter light at least.
Smug
minimum.
arrogance, I think, is high.
I
Yeah.
think so, too,
Manipulation is
yeah.
in there. Sexual deviance. So we got at least those 3.
Boom,
Looking
boom.
attire, yeah, I think so.
Shitty costume.
Patheticness,
Yeah.
more or less. The package is pathetic.
Yeah.
So
Nailed
He has a
him.
pathetic package.
I don't think there's a
They get
whole.
shocked.
Do we want to go to the killer family then? Do we count them as a unit?
Yeah,
Or
we
just go after
can.
Mulroney?
We
I don't know.
can. So patheticness, yes.
Yeah.
Highly
Manipulation for sure. Across
My
the
boy,
board.
he was a sweet boy. He just liked to collect murder weapons,
Yeah,
and I
what?
loved him for it.
What?
Perhaps I overindulged.
What?
Okay, Dermot. Okay.
Yeah, you
Dermot.
got him a bloody knife that you
got-
Like,
stole
Got
from
me a murder
evidence?
weapon. I got you some
Also,
evidence for your
This
birthday.
dude's a
son.
cop in New York. How the fuck is he gonna get evidence that killed Dewey 1 year ago from Woodsboro after his son's dead? If his son's dead, why is he still collecting murder things?
As he's
I
finishing
don't
his son's work.
No.
Who cares, man? It's bullshit.
Also, that's so much money to rent a theater in New York City.
for a decade maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
Nope. Dude,
Perhaps
defund
I
the police
overindulged.
movement didn't go anywhere. So,
I'm
you know.
I'm no cop, but I don't think they're pulling that much money.
He's pulling that 7-figure New York City cop money.
Just
Everybody knows.
let the collection chill here.
Cops are millionaires. New York
Whoa.
real estate is cheap as fuck. Duh.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Famously cheap.
So manipulation across the board, patheticness for sure. Sexual deviance, I don't really think that applies.
I mean, if we get the
them.
whole family in there, I mean, the sister's just banging away, but
Yeah,
I mean,
she's getting that strange.
Whatever. She's her own
yeah,
woman.
that's fine. That's fine.
She's her
Yeah,
own murderous woman.
I love how they do the
uh,
sister. She's just fucks and fucks and fucks, and the brother is just an incel little wiener piece of shit.
They even, oh man,
What
you just made me
deep
remember something that
characters.
bothered me, which is the one piece of pathos they give the incel character is
Yeah.
when the dad says something about like, you always remember your first son and how proud you are of him or something. Says something about his first
Yeah.
son, and it shows him, and he's like, "Ooh, I don't like that." And it's like, you
My
could have done something with that,
second
maybe
son.
anything. Like
Yeah.
have them turn on each other, something. Maybe the two kids kill Dermot. Do
Yeah.
something.
Maybe
Anything. Do
Anything.
anything.
please. Yeah.
What else? They don't have their tires normal, I guess.
It's standard operating ghost face
Smug,
attire.
arrogance, for sure.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah, smug.
So
I
they
guess
get it.
so.
They get it.
Yeah.
They got at
Yeah.
least 3 for sure.
I know. We got
Yeah.
a couple cooters here.
Yeah.
Yep.
We got a
First
whole
it-
bag of cooters.
Yeah.
We got garden variety cooter. We got family of killer cooters.
Yeah. Got all kinds.
Lock them up.
You
It's
looking for cooters? We got them.
hereditary.
We got them. We got.
You want them?
We got brother cooters. We got sister cooters. We got cop cooters. We got them all.
daddy cooters.
Whoa, we got
Kitty cooters.
sister cooters. Damn.
I have a
Oh,
daddy kink.
fucking hell.
We need to.
Well.
we need to be careful.
My
Nah,
God. Redacted. Redacted.
no.
We got
Just
all.
sit in it, Bob. We're gonna sit in it.
Sit in your duty draws, Bob.
All day. You know I'm Team Cummy Draws. We went over this.
Team.
are very impressed.
There's a whole team.
There's a team. I'm on it.
Go back
I
to
think that-
next episode if you're wondering what the
last
fuck we're
week's-
talking.
Yeah.
Last week's episode. You team doo-doo draws, team Cummy draws.
Go to
You can only do
Scream
one.
4 episode.
There was a third option, but who cares? All right, let's move on.
But who cares? No draws. That's it. I think we got our Twitter of the week. We got them locked up. We're running a little bit long. Let's skip what we've been watching this week, and we got a couple voicemails. So let's jump into our hotline screams.
Hotline Scream.
If you are listening and would like to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. We got a couple voicemails here. First up, we're going to hear from Jackie B. Let's hear what she's got to say.
What up, boys? It's Jackie B calling from Chicago. I haven't called in quite a while, and I thought I would chime in, listening to the new Scream episode late night, getting ready for Scream 6 Scream coming up. And y'all were talking, Soju was mentioning about basically like a railroad worker at the end of the episode. You guys were talking about like how somebody could possibly like, have any brain function post-death, and he couldn't recall the name of the railroad worker. And I took a class in college about like a psychology course, and basically Phineas Gage is the guy that I'm pretty sure Soju was mentioning, but it's this railroad worker who like had some horrible freak accident happen to him where like something went through his brain and he like lost brain function for like a month. But basically like the thing that shocked people is he came back completely to full brain function, except his entire personality changed. And I just thought that was like super interesting. And like, Andy was mentioning kind of like left and right brain stuff, and that was a huge landmark case in psychology about how like left and right brain interact and how it like affects personality and stuff. So I don't know, I thought I'd chime in. Also, y'all were mentioning, I think in a previous prompt, of like who is the character you love to hate in horror. I don't know if you would consider Game of Thrones horror, but Ramsay Bolton, I love to hate that guy. It is a genius portrayal of a despicable character. So, yeah, that's my 2 cents. Loving the content. Thanks for all the listening. And yeah, keep chilling. Bye, guys.
Good call on
All
the
right.
Ramsey Bolton. That's a good
Yeah.
one.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That
Uh,
those
He
yeah.
the
is an
Phineas
ass.
Gage stuff that we talked about last week or whatever, and like the connection between left and right brain. That whole like both of those like ideas are so fucking interesting, and I think that they're kind of like they got to be brought up in like every psychology class that's ever been made
Mhm.
since those things came out. It's like those and like the whatever that oh my god, the prison experiment, Stanford prison experiment,
Yeah.
and Pavlov. Those are like
Or
the 4
even-
hits you gotta play.
I think Heidelberg was bringing up the hand thing too, where you like get the hammer and you like put your hand over here and you put a fake hand
Oh,
in
yeah,
front of you
yeah.
and you like can like they'll tickle it with a feather and shit, and then
Yeah.
they'll go to hit it with the hammer and your like body is like fuck
Oh,
no.
God. Yeah,
yeah. That shit's wild.
Yeah. It is crazy, man.
Yeah, the brain's weird. It's weird.
It's a real problem.
Think real head scratcher, this brain.
Keep it together and not blast it in half if you can.
Well, I don't know. You
Recommend.
might get some special powers. I don't know.
Yeah, you might come back a totally chill person. Just
Yeah,
whatever, bro.
might work out for
Hey.
you.
Might be able to fly. Who knows?
Maybe.
What if this lobotomy just started flying, dog?
Lobotomies freak me out. I don't like it.
Well, I can't imagine why. They sound great. Scrambled eggs. Yeah, solid character to hate for sure. Goddamn,
Mhm.
Ramsey is a son of a bitch.
I have a hard time even saying that I love him, even just to hate him,
I
because
think he's
it's
just
so
understood,
goddamn despicable.
You know, I think
Oh,
you
you're
really
all right,
are.
Team Todd meets Team Ramsey
Oh,
this
yeah.
week on Straight Chillin'.
you know, he's kind of a gentle soul when you think about it.
So everybody can be pushed to their limits.
He just had a bad day.
You know,
guys
he
don't
just wasn't
know it.
loved by his dad. You know, you guys just don't get it.
I always
do it, did he?
Oh hell yeah! I always envision him in that scene where he's just like eating that sausage
The
menacingly.
sausage.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what a son of a bitch.
He's a true son of a bitch.
Who are you calling a cootie queen, you lint liquor?
Mhm.
Oh man.
Who's next,
thanks,
Bob?
Thanks for calling
sorry.
in, Jackie B. Hope you enjoyed 6 Cream. Next up, we're gonna hear from your boy Naderade. What's he got to say?
What up, boys? Naderade. So I just got out Cream 6. I had fun with it. It was good. It was all right. I do have my problems with it. Forgive me, I'm driving through a blizzard, so I'm sliding on a lot of black ice. It's good.
Ooh.
We're fine. So Cream 6. What's there to say? It's pretty much Scream Deuce, am I right? Killers have
Yes.
the same motive. Family members of the original killers. Even the ending took place in a theater, just like Scream Deuce. So, did the filmmakers know that they're pretty much rehashing the Deucer?
Yes.
I don't know.
All coincidence.
Yeah. 3 killers, though, that was pretty dope. I did like that. One of which, the son, he was garbage. Look at that fucking Evan Peters, poor-man Evan Peters look-alike. Yeah, fuck that guy. I did like the dad cop being a killer. I loved the daughter being a killer. That was a cool reveal. I did like that one. But the Evan Peters looking motherfucker, fuck that kid. I pinpointed him from the get-go that he was one of the killers. Oh, what else? Yeah, nope, that's it. I got to do a game of Fuck, Marry, Kill. The 3 killers from Scream 6. Who you got? Love ya. Bye.
All right, I got it. I already got it. Ready?
All right. Yeah.
I'm gonna kill the incel brother. Okay. Fuck the
Mhm.
sister. marry the Diddy because apparently that dude is loaded to be written
Oh,
out of
yeah.
that theater.
He's just swimming in evidence.
Yeah.
Valuable evidence.
Yep. So I'm set. I'm good to go.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Just because you're married to D Mulrooney, D Money,
Yeah.
I mean you gotta consummate that bitch.
No, especially
You know what?
statistics
I gotta-
show.
Using a similar
never
logic, I'm going to
consummate.
disagree. I'm going to disagree with
Okay.
similar logic because theoretically, these two only kids of this man would inherit that man's money, and would put up less of a fight if they're an incel little bitch asshole. So I would marry the incel dickhead, keep him as my fucking piece of shit that cleans my house for me, and then
Damn,
You would
Randy's
fuck
all
him?
his money.
Randy's a
And-
rough dude.
No,
You'd keep
no
him?
consummation. Same as you. You
Oh,
set those rules.
Oh, no, sorry. You went,
I
you
gotcha.
went blank. I couldn't hear what you said. So you're marrying the.
You're
I would
marrying the
still marry the
incel.
sister. No, I'm sorry. I would still fuck. What's her name?
Okay, the sister.
Marry incel asshole and just have him do shit for me and take his
Okay.
money,
Okay,
and then kill Dermot
it-
because he would be
okay.
the actual person
Gotcha.
capable of stopping me.
gotcha.
And I'm a villain now. Just by
There
describing
you
my
go.
intentions. That's if you play a fuck, marry, kill long enough, you become the villain.
Got to. Got to kill someone. Bob,
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
team
I
Randy or
think-
team Soju?
Uh,
Are you gonna be your own man? Make your own decisions.
Fuck Dermot.
I
Bob.
know.
Don't be
It-
scared.
it'd probably be a wild fuck. Yeah, all right. All right. I'll marry the broad.
in my ass. I'm desperate.
I'll marry the broad. I'll fuck some D monies.
All right.
All
And I'll
right.
kill the incel kid.
Okay.
All
There we
right.
go.
There you go. That was an uncomfortable game of fuck, marry, kill. Awesome.
Ah,
We did it. We did it. Please, probably don't call us when you're driving through a blizzard next time, though. That sounds dangerous.
be careful.
Yeah, hopefully you got home safely. Drive safe, kids. Be safe
Mhm.
out there. Shit's wild. Good to hear from you, Naderade. We don't have any more voicemails. We did get an email though, and I think Juice, you were talking about saving the answer to this for a potential YouTube video. But Carmen D sent an email asking for an updated Scream franchise ranking. Do you want to hold on to that?
Yeah, let's hold on to that.
Okay. More to come on that in your YouTube feeds.
We'll call that a tease.
Yeah, that's all the voicemails we got. Again, if you want to call in and leave a voicemail to be featured on next week's show, hit us up at 904-638-3231. Gentlemen, you guys have prompts you want to throw out for next week? Juice?
I do. So we kind of used this one before and some other things, but I would say, how could you save this? How could you save this reboot trilogy? You know, how can they wrap it up successfully? I say wrap it up. I don't know at this
Yeah,
point.
that's a
Yeah.
dream in and of itself.
But realistically, like what would be a really solid ending for you for Scream 7 to wrap?
Hot tub Christianity.
Hot tub Christianity would be a hell of an ending.
Mhm.
Baptize me in the warm waters.
Warm burbling waters of your jacuzzi.
Our
Yeah,
baptistry's hated.
baptistry.
This baptismal font has glowy lights under the water.
We treat it like a sauna when it's not Sundays.
Would you like
Sure.
some sacrament?
Oh, man, dude.
Well, that got dark. Yeah. Also, maybe call in and provide your own Scream franchise ranking, your updated franchise ranking. Where does 6 Scream land in the lineup for you? Let us know.
Good call. Both good prompts.
So we're gonna be back next week with a brand new show. As always, we're gonna be talking about actually the last Patreon pick of the first quarter of the year. This was chosen by your boy Matt S. The movie is called The Witching Hour from 2015. It's actually it's an anthology. It's a collection of 5 shorts that, as far as I understand, I haven't seen it, but from what I understand, they're all set on or around Halloween. So we're talking
Mm.
2 Halloween movies back to back.
No. Okay.
Justin's schedule's all fucked up now.
I know.
The only thing
Wow.
about Six Cream was, yeah, you're like, you see the Halloween, but there wasn't a lot of Halloween vibes. Like there wasn't autumn vibes or anything.
Not a single jack.
That's why I don't give it as a positive, because it doesn't strike me as
it
very
didn't.
Halloween.
Yeah, it surprisingly didn't have the vibes, which is weird.
It's just people in costumes wearing masks. And
Yeah.
that's
Which
it.
just serves
That's
to be
it.
more like references time.
Yeah.
It's Where's Waldo more than it is Halloween.
They could have amped up the Halloween vibes more for sure. I mean,
You guys want to sneak in one more nitpick before we close things out?
dude, I know it's so easy because they just didn't nail it. Yeah, so,
Randeezy.
it's so easy being Randy. Check out The Witching Hour. That is also on Amazon Prime for free. So if you have Amazon Prime, you can watch it there. I know you can also get it on Blu-ray. And I'm sure you could probably rent it on just whatever various service you have. So check out The Witching Hour from 2015. Get ready for next week's show. Until then, hit us up on all the social medias. You know where to find us. If you want to join in our daily Slack channel conversations, hit us up on one of those social media outlets. Say you'd like to join, and I'll send you a link so you can do so. We're definitely be talking about Six Cream this week, as well as definitely The Last of Us, whatever everybody else has been watching. We share pictures of our adorable pets, trade food recipes, and just whatever else you want to talk about. It's a great community. Join it. You won't regret it.
There's
that's gonna
even
do
a
it.
straight chilling after dark. So
Yes,
God,
But-
increasingly so.
but no awkward, weird dick pics. I promise.
No.
I
The bitch should be
promise.
examined to make sure that all the nipples are okay.
That is a long bump with some twists and turns.
Ah.
Okay. Until next week, as always, all you mother truckers, please keep chilling.